Makes me laugh every time.
What you see from a young guy like Jalen Elliott? What's giving you guys the wanting to play him the last two games?
We talk about here being a lion, and that's really playing on all phases. He's done a fantastic job on special teams. Great human being, very good leader, and he's done very good for us defensively. Scout-wise, it's given us some opportunities to give him a chance to see himself to play a little bit more.
So it's basically just you play well, you earn a role, you're going to play?
Yeah, you earn your keep. You earn your keep, and he did a very good job of that. And I think he's progressed a lot since the preseason.
We've sort of mentioned off and on that Tracy's playing well, but maybe haven't done a deep dive into it. Just what do you see from Tracy and how well, I guess, he's sort of played this year, I guess?
Progressive improvement. There's some things that he maybe didn't do well in the preseason or early in the year that he's gotten better. I think that's because it's important to him. I think he understands where we are as a team, and also asking him to be a little bit more of a leader, which is something I think he's accepted.
You've seen Jeff around here, he's hung around, and you've talked before, just about how light that makes it, how good it is to be around. What are the coaching points to a guy that can't be out there physically, but is still around, still in the meeting rooms? How do you coach a guy like that?
Mental health for me, with all my professional athletes, is something that's very important. So making sure that he feels all the way involved when he's coming into meetings, asking them questions, making sure he's tapped in with the tests and remarks. I think that always makes a guy feel included. But more importantly with him, it's just understanding that patience, time will take its course. He has a tough injury that's really going to take its time. So the more he can be around us, the more we can support him, it's better for him and for us.
What have you seen from Matacha's first week back out of injury? Obviously, might take some time to get ready, especially since he didn't get a lot of playing time beforehand. But do you think he's maybe close to getting on the field?
I don't know yet, but I would say it's nice to see him getting out there and practice and run around a little bit. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's a great kid. But anytime you come back from an injury like that, we always try to make sure it's kind of progressive and we don't just push you into it. But excited to see him whenever it does come back.
Zamani's still been that kind of steady presence. I mean, he's the one guy that's been there really all year, hasn't dealt with injuries, knock on wood, but been that guy, that steady presence. Has he been that for you through 8 games?
Yeah, no injuries, like you said, knock on wood again. You guys know I've had my fair share of injuries in my room, but he's been steady. He's been slow and steady. We still want him to try to win a couple more of those one-on-one matchups that come his way, but he's done a very good job of being a leader, communicating, and really helping some of our young guys who maybe don't have the same amount of play experience or play confidence that he has, and he's done a good job, and hopefully just continue. We want everybody's level of play to kind of rise these last couple weeks.
Is that one of the things you see with him steady increases, that is the confidence level?
Yeah, confidence and intensity. The one thing that I have to do a better job is making sure that our technique stays clean. We spend so much time in OTAs and camp really developing and working on the fundamentals, and then you get in the middle of the season, you try not to make sure those things diminish. That's something I want to make sure I put my finger down on with him, because he takes coaching very well, and he's a very good player as far as with his technique, and we just want to keep going because we think it might help with some of those one-on-one matchups.
Your guys in LA would have seen Josh Reynolds quite a bit in practice. Just wondering what scouting report you have on him.
We used to call him Big Smooth in LA. He's smooth, he's long, he has very, very good ball skills, sudden speed, long speed more than as he progressively goes down the field. I think the one thing that we'll like about him is that he's very willing blocker in the run game, and that's something that I know that we try to preach here in Lions on the offensive staff.
Communication has kind of been a big theme for your group through this year. I mean, you've got a young group. We've talked about it a bunch of times. So as you went through the self-scout of the first half of the season, how have you liked the way they've developed on the whole, and what are you looking for from just the collective unit down the stretch here?
You all have heard me say this over and over again, learning how to play and what to do at the same time. I'm proud of all of these young men. I think after looking at the self-scout, we see what we can do better collectively as coaches, maybe what we can ask more of our players, or maybe put our players in a better position to have success now that we know them more. Going through a preseason is different than actually going through 8 games, 9 games of an NFL season. But those young guys have progressed. The technique has worked well, but right now we're asking ourselves as coaches, what can we do to put ourselves in a better position to win?
In that regard, what can you do to, or what did you see that you can maybe do to get more takeaways? I think that's one area that I'm sure you guys want.
That is an area, and I think a lot of that just comes with putting ourselves in the right position, and then also understanding the formation that the offense gives us, and maybe having a little bit of savvy, adding our football savvy. And sometimes that just comes with experience, and experience and confidence sometimes come hand in hand. And I think you all know that maybe that's something that we haven't had the luxury of having this year, but there's no excuse, and you keep pressing forward.
Playing a team like Pittsburgh, quick passing game is really important to them, but they also have that element where they'll hit you deep and seem selective. So what is the focus for your cornerbacks this week to balance that? You know, more often than not, they're going to get the ball out quick, but be aware that this, you know, the deep passing game is there.
Realizing you're playing against a future Hall of Fame quarterback who can put the ball anywhere that he likes. Also understanding the formations and the plays that dictate such. We know that this team's going to run the ball, but they're also going to take their shots on the edge when they have them, and just also mixing up our technique to try to keep them on edge.
You said recognizing formations twice. We talked to Aaron yesterday about just the shifts and motions, particularly in the red zone, that kind of get you guys off kilter. Is that one of the biggest challenges with young players is getting them to recognize what an offense is trying to do to them before the snap so that they can, you know, react quickly once the ball is in play?
Yeah, no question. This is you have to be a gifted athlete in order to play this sport, but I think fans don't understand how much of a cerebral game this is. Sometimes as defense, you're at a disadvantage, and you can kind of even the playing field if you understand what you're actually seeing and put that with your film study. But at the same time, you know, you sit there and watch it on tape, they can call it out. That's still not the same as live action and going out there and actually getting it done. But when you have a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers who's very good at what they do, and they might not change very much based off their opponent, that's when film study and knowing what your opponent's tendencies do can help you drastically.
I didn't get the full scheme in that preseason matchup, but what can you take from that preseason matchup for your young room, and like what can you learn from that?
They have some bread and butter aspects of their offensive philosophy. If you give it to him, he'll take it deep early. If you remember, he took one, tried to go deep on us early with Jeff. And if you give him one, he's going to go back to you. If you remember, Jeff came back and made a play a little bit later. Then also, we have to do a phenomenal job of tackling as an entire defense, collectively. They get the quick passes out for yards after catch, and they have a pretty good running back if I have not mistaken.